Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Can you guys all just give me a thumbs up to confirm that you can hear me? Good deal. To show you some of the many ways that we've improved this program, in the old days, I used to go, show me a thumbs up that you could hear me, and then everybody would see me doing a thumbs up, and they would give me a thumbs up even when they couldn't hear me. Little things are improvements. I am so excited about what's about to begin. Anybody else? Anybody else excited? Anybody nervous? Anyone nervous? Michelle, I saw this in the excited, so I'm going there. Is anybody outright frightened? Anybody in the outright frightened category? Nobody admitting it just now? We'll see. All right. Super. Well, my name is Eric Edmeades. I am the founder of WildFit, and I am absolutely thrilled that you guys are here. I want to thank you, first of all, for putting your trust and faith in me and Mindvalley and joining us on this program. And I've got some really good news for you. It really does work. It's as simple as to say that. I know that we say that in the marketing, but sometimes marketing and delivery in the world is not always the same thing, but I'm telling you that marketing and delivery here is the same thing. This program really does work. And so I want to just review a couple of things. How many of you have already watched the video for this week? How many of you already watched it? Okay. And how many of you have not yet had a chance to watch the video from this week? Okay. All right. So before we move on, here's the great news is that, the request I have is when you've got the live calls, first of all, always try to be on them. I know that right now we've got about, 200 of you or so on the live call, and a lot of you are watching on recording, and that is totally okay. I know there are people from all over the world. We have people, it's 3 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand, and there's lives to be lived and businesses to be run and children to take care of. And so being on the live calls is not always possible. I just want to put to you that being here present on live calls is important to your journey, and then also important to if you can do it, and if you can't, then watch the recordings. That's absolutely fine. And then the other thing I want to suggest to you is do everything you can to make sure that you watch the pre-recorded videos up to where you need to be before the live calls, which in the end will save me or whichever coach is on from having to repeat things that are in the original video. So this is fine. It's always like this on week one. I just want to put to you guys in the future, do the best you can to watch the videos prior to live calls. Does that make sense? You guys in? All right, good deal. Now, a couple of other things I want to touch on. This call will be somewhat different than the calls from here on out because I've got a lot to say today. And so most days, you guys will be doing a whole lot of the talking. We'll be checking in with you, finding out how you're doing. What are your celebrations? What are your challenges? How are your emotions doing? Because all of those things are key to how successful this program is going to be for you. So on a lot of the calls, you'll get some information from me or whoever's hosting the call at that time, and then it'll be a check-in with some of you that'll have an opportunity to jump in. We will do the best we can to kind of spread the love, as it were, to make sure that we're getting to as many different people as we can. What we have noticed is that some people are very eager with their hand waving, and some people are kind of like, they wait till about week 8 before they volunteer to speak, and then they wonder why they didn't get a chance. So I just want you to know we do the best we can to spread that out. It's not always easy to remember who's been on the calls from the previous weeks with the tiny little screen icons. So let's see. Then a couple of other things. Okay. I want to share with you some keys to getting the absolute most out of this program. Would anybody like those keys? Anybody in for the, okay, good. So one of them is exactly that. This is not a TV show. Maybe it will be one day, but right now it's not yet a TV show. And so it's interactive. And so even though on these large classes, you will probably statistically not get a chance to interact with me directly, what's amazing is that when you respond with your body to questions and to dialogue, it integrates more deeply into you and into your psychology. So when I ask a question, then answer me. If I ask you to raise your hand, then raise your hand. I can see you, by the way. So it's important that you interact like that, because what it does is it integrates the experience into your body in a way that is a lot better than falling into the trance mode that most of us have learned when watching screens, right? We've been conditioned that once we watch TV, we all think that we watch TV with this incredibly intelligent look on our face, like, oh, what a fascinating show. When really we watch TV a bit like this. And so with this program, what I'm going to ask you to do is watch it with the intelligent face by interacting and by being involved. Here's another thing. Join together with each other. You know, you guys are from all over the world. In fact, show me in the comments, where are you all from? What's your city and country? Show me in the comments in the chat area where you guys are from, because it's a variety. So we've got Florida and New York City, Cambodia, Georgia, Pine Key, awesome. We've got, wow, it's now got Kenya, Finland, Prague. I can't even read them that fast. Toronto, good, Allentown, Prague, Canada, Hawaii. Like, we've got a variety of people here. And so you've got this unbelievably cool international community. And so you've got the private Facebook group. Connect with people, go in there and introduce yourself, upload a video, tell people who you are, why you're here. You will be amazed that your interaction will have everything to do with how deep in and how committed you ultimately will be to getting the results that you want from the program. Plus, the people on the program can be like, you know, accountability buddies. Like, how many of you think this program is going to be easy all the way through? Anybody under the illusion that it will be easy all the way through? So how many of you are expecting you might face some challenging times? Anybody thinking they may face some challenging times? Great. It'll be a lot easier to face those challenging times if you've banded together with some people, connected with them. Maybe you can find some people that are local to you and even see them physically. It doesn't matter, even if you're connecting with them online. Just make sure that you do this together. There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And so that's going to be a big part of creating success for you on this program. Related to that is, as much as I am not the biggest fan of the way social media is impacting the world at the moment, I want you to know something. You have a choice as to whether or not social media uses you or whether you use social media. You know you have a choice. I'll give you an example of what it looks like when social media is using you. It looks a bit like this. Anybody familiar with this? This is somebody searching for the bottom of the Facebook wall or the Instagram wall. If there is no bottom, you're not going to find it. It's designed that way. That's social media using you. You using social media is you log in, you go to the group that you want to go to, you interact in the way you want to interact, and you avoid the temptation of the very sexy other stuff they want you to click, and then you move on with your life. And so I want to suggest to you that you do use the private Facebook group that we've created for your class and get everybody, you know, get connected and make public commitments and share your dreams and share your successes and, of course, share your challenges there. So now let's jump in. Those of you who have already watched the first video, you know about the terrifying and scary enhancements. You know how difficult this first week is already going to be. I know that people who haven't watched the video, you're terrified. What's Eric going to take away from me now? And so before I tell you what I'm going to take away from you, those of you who've seen the video, quit your smirking, you know what's going on here. So for those of you who haven't seen the video yet, I want you to know, and all of you, I want you to know what WildFit is. Because what it isn't is a diet. The reason it isn't a diet is that when I first went to create it, I discovered something interesting about diets. They don't work. How many people have proven that, by the way? How many of you have gone out and proven they don't work? Okay, so it's not a diet. They don't work. And so what it is a lifestyle shift, a psychological shift, a change in the way you are, a change in the way you think, a change in the way you speak to yourself, a change in the way you interact with food and think about food. It's a wholesale change. It's exciting. And so what I really want you to know is that WildFit is about food freedom. Let me define that for you. It is about being able to eat what you want, when you want, as much as you want, whenever you want. But it's also about not eating what you wish you wouldn't eat when you wish you wouldn't eat it. It's about never having that feeling where you go, God, I wish I didn't eat that. It's about never having that feeling of, oh, I wish I hadn't eaten so much. Or it's about having those feelings and being aware that you were creating them and smiling and going, hey, I made an exception, but I learned. It's about freedom. And to really depict this for you, some of you may have heard this story because I think it's in one of the marketing videos, but one of my business clients came to me. I was doing, I teach business and entrepreneurship programs in another life. And one of my business clients came to me and he goes, wow, I've heard such great things about this WildFit program. I want to do it, but I just can't. I said, Frederick, why can't you? And he goes, because, I really enjoy my freedom. And I was like, okay, I understand that, because freedom is one of my highest values as a human being. I understand that. So I said, well, can you tell me what freedom means to you? And he says, freedom means the ability to eat what I want, when I want, as much as I want. I said, great. That's awesome. I understand that. I said, do you have the freedom to not eat? He's like, what? And I said, well, do you have the freedom to not eat when you wish you wouldn't eat, or you wish you didn't eat? Do you have that freedom? And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, look, we just had lunch, and I happen to know pizza is one of his things, right? We all have our things, right? And pizza is one of his things. And so we just had lunch, and I said, Frederick, what if we ordered a pizza and it arrived right now? Beautiful, warm, steaming pizza. Would you eat it? And he goes, well, of course I would. But I said, but Frederick, we just had lunch. And he goes, yeah, but it's pizza. And I go, and then how would you feel after the pizza? And he goes, oh, I would feel terrible. I would. My stomach would be heavy. I'd probably be sleepy. I wouldn't get anything done in the afternoon. And I said, but you'd still eat it. And he goes, yeah. And I said, why? And he goes, well, it's pizza. And I said, in other words, you don't have freedom. Boom. He got it. He didn't have freedom. He had the type of freedom that the food industry has been selling you. The food industry has been selling this to you. And I'll tell you in many ways they've been selling it to you. They've been selling it to you by putting labeling that suggests that food that's absolutely not good for you is good for you. They've been putting, how about like 0-calorie cola? That's got to be good for you. How about the soft drink companies pumping tons and tons of money into the myth that you can exercise calories off? That's where the myth comes from, by the way. It's a completely invalid myth. But the fact is that it made sense for them to indoctrinate us that it's our fault when we get overweight. I want you to know something right now. And it's important also to say this. This is not a weight loss program. It might be the most effective weight loss program in the history of weight loss programs, but it's not a weight loss program. It's a health program. And ultimately, when somebody gets into psychological and physiological balance with food, when they're eating the way their body wants them to eat, oddly, they tend to go to the weight that their body would ultimately like to be. Your body doesn't want to carry any weight that it doesn't feel is necessary to its survival. It just doesn't want to do that. If you work out at the gym and you've got big muscles and then you stop working out, the muscles will go away because the body doesn't want to carry weight that it doesn't perceive to be necessary. Same thing with fat. The reason we collect fat is our body has a perception that we better be storing water and calories for dangerous drought times to come, only we don't live that way anymore. And so one of my key messages for any of you that have weight you want to release, I really want you to understand something right here and right now. If you are carrying excessive weight, if the person that you look at in the mirror is heavier than you would like them to be, if you notice people looking at you, maybe when you're getting on the plane and sitting beside them, when you notice people judging you, what I want you to know really sincerely, 100%, is that it is not your fault. It was never your fault, and it isn't your fault today, but it is now your responsibility to do something about it. It's not your fault because the food industry did this to us. The food industry, in my opinion, is significantly more dangerous and manipulative and deceitful than the tobacco industry ever was. You see, the tobacco industry, they just try to get us to do something that your body knows is bad for you and frankly is unnecessary. There's no need for that. The food industry took something that is absolutely necessary to our existence, food, and turned it into non-food to boost their own profitability. The lower level of nutrition in the food, the more you'll want to eat. The more addictive substances in the food, the more you'll want to eat. And then just in case that's not enough, they use the most advanced psychological manipulations in the history of psychology to anchor positive feelings to food that is bad for your body. So I just want you to hear me. If you or anybody you know is carrying weight that they feel they shouldn't be, it's absolutely not their fault. And it can be turned around. Does that make sense to all of you? All right. So now, here's something I'd like to know. I'd like to know why you're here. And I'd like to know. But what I'd really like is for you to know. And I really like you to know because I want to give you a little metaphor. If any of you know me, or if you've ever seen me on YouTube or anything, you might know that I've climbed Kilimanjaro a few times. In fact, I've climbed it 7 times, which is 6 times more than is absolutely necessary, I can tell you right now. There's some things you learn when you're climbing that mountain, though. It's not easy. Sometimes when you're climbing the mountain, you have to walk away from the summit. It's so awful. You walk days and days and days and days toward the summit, and then just because of the lay of the mountain, you have to turn around, and you're now walking away from it going, how am I possibly making progress when it's over there? And then sometimes you've been going uphill, 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 and then you have to go downhill. It's the most dejecting thing in the world to come up over this hill and I'm getting closer and closer and closer, and then realize that you're just at a valley and you're now going to have to walk massively downhill into the valley and lose all the progress you've made. Oh, and then on summit night, it's going to be like 20 degrees below freezing. And the wind is going to be ripping past you at like a rate that you can lean into it and kind of not fall over. I mean, the wind is going to be ripping through you. The cold is going to be ripping through you. It's just unpleasant. And then there's going to come this point, and I always told our clients this whenever we took them up Kilimanjaro, because the reason I did it so many times is we're doing it as part of a leadership training program I used to do. And so I would tell the clients, there's going to come a point, listen to me, all of you, there's going to come a point where some of you might want to give up, where some of you might think it's easier to go back. And that point is the breakthrough point. That point is where everything changes. That point, when you break through it, that point is where your self-esteem takes an incredible leap forward. That point is where you double down and move forward. And that point is the point that gets you to the summit. And so I want you to know that some of those things are going to happen on this program as well. There's times when you're going to feel like you're walking backwards. Like this week, here's the massive changes. I want you all to, I know some of you watched the video, but this week, what we want you to do is we want you to take a holiday from the following items. Are you ready? You might want to write these down. All these things you're not allowed to eat this week. You're going to take a holiday from absolutely nothing. You're not going to take a holiday from anything. You're going to keep eating the way you always were eating before. And now all of a sudden you realize we're walking away from the mountain, aren't we? It's important that we walk away from the mountain this week. It's important that we learn some things about our psychology. Every single day this week, you're going to get an individualized video for that day to guide you through some unbelievably powerful psychological exercises that many of you, even by the end of this week, many of you will realize that your relationship with food will never be the same again, even at the end of this first week, as long as you go in all the way. As long as you listen to the videos, watch the videos, and then do the steps that we're asking you to do. We're going to ask you to pay attention to something called your food timeline. We're going to ask you to pay attention to the food angel and the food devil. We're going to ask you to really, really check in with your relationship with food this week. And so you're going to eat exactly the way you did before. You might be tempted. You might be tempted not to. You might normally like to eat ice cream and you're like, yeah, but I don't really want to. I signed up for this program and I'm here to make progress. And you might turn around and start walking toward the mountain. No. Listen to the guide. Trust the porters. Get yourself on track. And so this week we walk away from the mountain. This week we don't take a holiday from any foods. And so here's my question for you. For those of you who knew this already, and those of you who just found out now, here are the reactions that we typically get from people. How many of you, when you heard that you weren't going to take any food away this week, how many of you were like surprised, really surprised? Who was in the surprised category? Okay. Now, was anybody in the relieved? Who was in the relieved category? Anybody relieved? That's okay. It's honest. It's all good. Anybody in the disappointed category? Anybody disappointed? There you go. You guys are in the most danger because you were disappointed and you want to walk toward the mountain. Trust the guide, trust the porters. We're going to get you there. We just got to go this way first so that we can learn some things about ourselves. This is not aversion therapy. This is not where I'm going to tell you that you have to go eat twice as much of the foods in order to make you vomit so you hate them. This is not some, cheap ass 1973 aversion therapy system. No. This works. I'm not asking you to eat more than you ever ate before. I'm simply asking you not to change a great deal and not to take anything away. Does that make sense to all of you? All right, now as we continue our journey up the mountain, what's really, really important for you to know is one of the most important aspects of motivation is progress. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're learning a language or a new martial art or raising your children. It doesn't really matter. But as long as there's progress, it sort of feeds motivation. And so if any of you have ever tried something, you'll probably find if you've tried something and given up, you didn't give up in the middle of an incredible burst of progress. You gave up during a time when you felt you weren't making any progress. Does that make sense to you? Does anybody agree with that? Okay, this is really important because what we need to do is keep track of our progress. Now, that's where we come back to why you're here. You see, when you're climbing Kilimanjaro, you might think that the reason you're climbing Kilimanjaro is to reach the summit. That's not the reason. It's a reason. But there are many other reasons, like to see the entire mountain for its incredible gorgeousness, to walk through the rainforest and see the colobus monkeys and chameleons, and then to get up into the bush area, and then to move into the lunar landscape. There's all kinds of, and to see the glaciers. Oh, how about this? To grow and improve yourself as a human being, to develop deeper character by taking on something incredibly challenging. There are many reasons for climbing Kilimanjaro: to bond with your team and deepen, to create new friendships or to deepen existing friendships, to learn more about yourself than just about anything else could ever teach you. There's a million reasons for doing it. And so the problem is if you only have the one reason in mind, if you only have the one reason in mind, the summit, then here's the problem. You can walk for 3 days and the summit doesn't seem to be getting any closer. And I remember the first time I climbed it, I'm walking and walking and walking, and the damn thing isn't getting any closer. It's a deceptive mirage summit. The more I walk, the further away it seems to get. Why is it not getting any closer? And then my guide says to me, turn around, look back. And so I did. And then I realized how far I'd come. We had covered so much ground. We had made such incredible progress, but because my progress was all focused on the one goal ahead, I wasn't able to see it. And so here's what's going to happen. Some of you have a summit that you came here for. And for many of you, it might have been weight loss. There's your summit. The trouble is, I can tell you right now, you're not going to lose any weight for weeks. You're not. If you want to lose weight really fast, there's a million cheap ass fad diets you can go do right now. You can lose weight really fast. You'll get it back. You know that. So this time around, you're not going to lose weight right away. In fact, I'm going to warn you about something right now. When I talk about us walking away from the mountain, well, some of you might even gain weight this week. That's because we're walking away from the summit. That's not a failure. That is part of the journey. And the problem is, as long as you see it as a failure, it's going to shake your confidence. If any of you come to the end of this week and you've got an extra couple of pounds on, smile. That's part of the process. If you want to get different results, you got to try different things. You know, there's that classic definition of insanity, right? If insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, that's the diet industry for you. We're not the diet industry. We're going to do something entirely different, and we're going to get an entirely different set of results. So that means one of the things I want you to do is I want you to look for all of the progress. Some of it you don't even know about yet. You don't even know about some of the progress you might make. You don't even know what it is, but I want you to look for it. Like, I'll give you an example. On about day 4 of climbing Kilimanjaro, I was sitting at one of the little sort of picnic bench areas, and the place was barren. And I was looking around, I was going, there's nothing here to enjoy. I was so cold and miserable. And then all of a sudden, this cute little mouse chipmunk type thing came up to my feet. And it has 3 clear stripes down its back, and then another one and a few more. And all of a sudden, for the next 20 minutes, all I did is watch these little guys. And man, it was so nice. And I realized that that's one more example of progress. I just learned about a new animal, and I'm into wildlife, and I just, suddenly there was progress. Nobody even told me I get to meet these guys on the way up the mountain. So there's progress you're going to make that right now you're not even aware of. But there's also speed bumps that you're going to hit. And I want you to recognize that the way you react to a speed bump is everything about the way this program is going to work for you. In fact, I'll use a silly metaphorical story for you. How many of you have ever been, maybe before the days of GPS and cell phones, but how many of you have ever been in a car, late for an appointment, not totally sure of where the place is, and your phone is dead, and you're driving along, you're late, you don't want to stop for directions because you're already late, you think you might be on the road, but you're not sure. Has anybody had an experience like that at some point? Right, so imagine you're in that situation, you're driving along, and by the way, when you're driving along late to a place you're not sure if you're going the right way, how fast are you going? Isn't that bizarre? We speed. We go fast even though we don't know where we're going. It just gives us a feeling like, well, I'm late, I better be going fast. All right. Now imagine that you pull over to the side of the road at the petrol station, at the gas station, to ask for directions. You do this because you're a woman. Men are dumb. They just won't do this. I don't know what's wrong with men. Men, get over it. But the point is, you pull over, you go to the gas station, you ask for the directions, and they tell you, oh yeah, you're on the right road. Just carry on down until you see the set of lights, and then you're going to turn left, and then you're going to drive down that road a little ways, and then you'll hit a speed bump, and then you'll know you're at the building on the right. And so you're like, oh yeah. And by the way, when you're stressed and you're late, do you listen very well? No, because some of you might find that on this program, it starts getting hard for you to listen, because you start getting a little stressed about something. So I want you to just stop and listen, because what now might happen is you get in the car and you go driving down the road, and then you see a set of lights and you realize, did he say the first set of lights or a set of lights or third set of lights? Jesus, which set of lights is it? Well, it must have been the first set. So you turn left and then you start driving down that road. But he said, wait a minute, what did he say? How far down this road did he say? A ways. He said, you go down this road a ways. You're like, I don't know how long a ways is. So you start driving down the road, and pretty soon you start thinking, maybe this wasn't the right road. Maybe this wasn't the right road. And so you speed up, and then bam, you hit the speed bump. And you feel good about the speed bump because you now know where you are. In any other circumstance, if you hit that speed bump that fast, you would have been horrified. But now the speed bump was a sign of progress. So here are some of the speed bumps you might run into. Are you ready? Some of you might run into these speed bumps. Overpowering cravings that you just don't seem to know what to do with at various times. That's a speed bump. You should recognize it, because that's going to be one of your opportunities to learn. Here's another speed bump. Friends and loved ones that criticize you for doing yet another diet, or, oh, you're eating all that funny way, or you're making it awkward in the restaurant. Anybody have friends like that? Oh, anybody ever been a friend like that? It's okay if you were. It's okay. Move on, right? Here's another speed bump you might run into. You might run into incredibly low energy at times. Not for long, but you might run into incredibly low energy. That's a speed bump. It's part of the transition of moving your metabolism. Some of you might end up with some what we might call cleansing reactions. You might end up with a bit of a cold or a little bit of a fever at some point. You might end up with some rashes or itchiness on your skin as your body is like saying, hey, we're making changes here. Now we can finally do some repair work. These are some of the speed bumps you might run into. And so if you bump into one of those, smile and know that it's part of the plan. Smile and know that you can't get to the summit without those events, without those things happening. And smile and know that if there comes this moment where you start thinking of giving up, that in that moment, you're at the breakthrough point. Nothing good in terms of your personal growth ever came from inside your comfort zone. It just doesn't work like that. And so as you get to that place, that's where the real growth is going to go. So here's what I would like to know. I would like to know this. Why are you here? I would like to know what your if you put this in the comment, I'd like you to go primary and then write what your primary thing is, and then other and anything else that you might love to get from this. And I'll speak about some while you're writing them. And by the way, this is not like school. If you see somebody else's answer and you like it, you can take it. It's not cheating. It's called inspiration. It's called co-collaboration and co-expansion. So here's some of the ones I'm seeing. BMI, weight loss, more energy, food freedom, general health and weight issues, lose weight. Wow, children, absolutely. Mindset, weight. Excellent. Look at this, primary, excellent. Install new habits, learn how to eat, release from using foods as an emotional comfort. Get the place, I got my husband's weight. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that for sure, Harriet. We're going to come to that in a minute. Lose all of my weight so it no longer stops me from doing the stuff I love. Oh, I love the way you wrote that. You see, she wrote what she wants, so that, and the benefit. That's a huge thing. The more you know the benefit of what you want, the more likely you're going to get what you want. Health. Want to gain weight? Lisa, yes, absolutely. This is not a weight loss program. You're in the right place. Psychological changes, break addictions, longevity, health, stop cravings. Guys, this is awesome. My team, please make sure you capture this list. I want to keep this list. I absolutely want to keep this list. This is really, really good stuff to know what it is people really want. Okay, so now here's the next thing I want from you. Why? Why do you want those things? Here's one of the ways you can answer that. I want this so that this. Everything on the other side of so that is your why. Many of you are probably familiar with Simon Sinek. He says, start with why. Let's find out why, right? And get deep in why. Really, like there's short-term why, there's long-term why. Let's see what's going on out there. To live my best life. Let's see here. Self-confidence. Life is important. Lillian, I'm with you. Excellent. Healthier relationship. So I can trust my body. Absolutely good. Lynn, I love that. To walk my talk. That's so important. To be 100% me. That's really nicely put. More energy so I can build my dreams. I'll tell you guys something. This is so inspiring what you're writing. And now I want to share something with you really, really important about the why issue. We are living in an age where the media is messing with our heads. Our politicians are lying and cheating all over the place. The food industry is messing with us. Like, guys, it's scary. I'm sorry. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a pragmatist. And I want you to know that we're in a place now where the majority of children are going to be prescribed some sort of behavior modifying drug in school at this stage. The majority of them. And a huge percentage of adults are going to end up on antidepressants of some kind at some point in their life. Now, there is a live organic survey that our clients have been completing over the last several years. Not everybody, it's a live organic survey, and maybe about 500 or 600 people have done this survey because it's quite long and they've just gone through to help us figure out what's going on. It's not long, it's just a long list of things to read, but it's organic. They've helped create it. And what I mean by that is we asked everybody, what were the top things that you got from doing this program, the top benefits that you got from doing this program? And then we let them add the results. So it wasn't our survey, it was their survey. And I want you to know something. The third highest rated item on the list, voted on by something like 90% of the people who did the vote, was an increased sense of well-being. That's the wording. I want you to think about that. It means waking up a little happier than every day. It means going to sleep a little happier every day. It means being a better parent. It means being a better child, better husband, better wife, better boss, better employee. It means being a better person, because when we're not feeling good and we're not feeling good about ourselves, we're not as good to the universe. We're not as good to the world. And so I really want you to get that a big part of this is really simply about you. If you want to know what my goals are to massively increase and improve the quality of life of 1 billion people on this planet. And the key way to do that is by changing the relationship with food. So many of the drugs that we are being prescribed today are unnecessary if we're first willing to look at the cause. So I want you to get really clear that this program is not just about your primary goal. It's about your secondary goal. And that's so important because sometimes your primary goal might be way off in the distance. I hate to tell you this. There's a small percentage of you in the weight loss category. There's a small percentage of you that you may come to the end of the program and you'll find that your weight hasn't shifted that much. You'll likely be smaller and it'll be dejecting to you that you're not lighter. And you'll wonder why that is. Why am I smaller but not lighter? You see, that's a problem because it means that your goal hasn't been achieved. The goal is not your weight. The goal is how you feel and how you look and how your body is operating. And I'll give you a bit of a clue to this. Muscle weighs a lot more than fat does. And so if you lose 5 pounds of fat and you gain 5 pounds of muscle, then you're going to not lose any weight, but you're going to be smaller. But you see, if you don't know that, then here's one of the problems. If you go to step on the scale and the number's not changing, you're going to get stressed out. Honest to goodness, how many of you occasionally get stressed out when you look at the scale? How many of you feel stress? Okay, really listen to me about this. If you allow that to happen, that stress produces chemicals in your body that communicate an important message to your body. And that message is, I am in danger at the moment. Please do not let go of any of my stored hydration and nutrition. Do you understand the problem? If you step on the scale and you start producing a cortisol, then your body believes that you're in a stressful environment, which means that there might not be a lot of food and water around. And so the stress itself will tell your body to hold the fat. And so if you're one of the people that experiences stress when you stand on the scale, I'm going to ask you this: don't ever do it unless we specifically ask you to at the beginning when you do your weigh-ins and that kind of stuff. The rest of the program, until we ask you to do it, don't bother. Just don't. If you can't do it, if you know that getting on it could result in you feeling stressed, don't bother. Does that make sense? I had a woman write to me, not to me, but she wrote publicly on Facebook yesterday, the day before. She said, I often used to get stressed out when I stood on the scale. So, and she's at about week 9 of the program, I think. And she says, and so I haven't stood on the scale, but now I have to stand on it to do my midpoint measurements. She was late doing them. And she goes, and I got on the scale and I was so scared. And she says, I stepped on the scale, and she's got one of those smart scales. It knows who you are when you step on it. And the scale asked her if it was really her. The scale actually said, are you sure you're you? Like, are you sure that you're this user? Because she was down 12.5 kilograms, which for the rest of you is about 28 pounds, right? Pretty exciting. I'm telling you, if she had stood on the scale every day and tried to watch that every day, the cortisol she would have produced every day would have cut that weight loss in half, or maybe stopped it altogether. Does this make sense to you guys? All right, now, a couple other things. My team, I know I've changed the syntax today because I just got inspired. I know there's some key things that I still need to cover. Let's just see here. Okay, hear me now. Do the measurements. How many of you have already done the measurements and taken the pictures and done all the stuff? Okay, good. If you have not done it, do it now. Like, finish this call and go and do it, or do it within 24 hours. I really want you to get this, that one of the deepest regrets that our clients often have at the end of the program is that they chickened out and didn't do the pictures. They look at their body and they're like, holy, I wish that I had the before after so I could really see what's going on here. Please go and take the pictures. Some of you, I know it might hurt. You might not like what you're seeing in the pictures. I know that's how some of you might feel because I have felt that way in my life before as well. I know. So I just want you to know, please take the pictures. And funny enough, you're going to hear a story that nobody else has heard before because this is new. But I made the decision, I might be approaching a significant round numbered birthday. I don't need to discuss that at the moment. I just might be approaching one. And I suddenly thought to myself, you know what? I'm in pretty good shape. I climb Kilimanjaro all the time. I could run a marathon today. I wouldn't even need to train for it. I know, because I'm in shape. But I was noticing though that my body's not as forgiving as it was when anybody notice your body isn't quite as forgiving as it was at 18? Anybody noticing this, right? So, and I noticed like I wasn't like, I was cardiovascularly in shape and I was, I had okay, but this is kind of embarrassing. I went to do some push-ups because I hadn't been doing push-ups for ages. And guys, I had a real trouble doing the 10th push-up. I used to be able to do 50 on my knuckles. I couldn't, I made a decision that I would not let my strength and my flexibility decline as I got older, because that's what happens to people. I said, no way, I'm working on this. And so I went over to the hallway over here. I took out the camera and I took the pictures. And then I hired a personal trainer and I started working on it. And just like about 2 weeks ago, we took the second batch of pictures. It was striking to me. And guess what? Progress and motivation. If you don't take the pictures, then you're taking away one of your great opportunities for progress. In fact, I'll tell you a really cute story. So this woman once from Denmark, she wrote to us after she did the program and she goes, I want my money back. I did everything I was supposed to do and I want my money back. This is incredibly rare in our world. Very, very rare. And so she goes, I want my money back. And so she showed that she felt like she'd done everything. And weirdly, I happened to be in Copenhagen at the time. And I was between events. So I just kind of wrote to her and I go, well, you know what? I'm going to be at Sticks and Sushi. Do you want to come over and say hello? So she came over. In the meantime, I wrote to my team and I said, can you go to one of the original classes and grab a screenshot of her face, and then grab a screenshot of her in the week 12 classes. And I had those on my laptop when she came and sat down with me. And she looked at the 2 pictures and she was like, she had changed so much in the 3 months. But because she hadn't taken her own before and after pictures, she couldn't really see it that much. It wasn't showing up on the scale she wanted it to, well, but it was showing up in her body. So please, guys, take the measurements and take the pictures. You will be so thankful to me. You will be so thankful to me if you do it. All right, let's see. So here are the things you are doing this week. Like we said, you're not cutting down, cutting out, or avoiding anything. If you want it, you're going to have it. And there's exercises that you're going to be given this week. I'll give you some clues though. One thing I really want you to pay attention to is how you sell yourself on stuff. Like, how many of you have found that free food is just real tough to walk past? Anybody found that? Free food. You know, like, I don't really eat donuts, but they're free. I mean, I wouldn't go buy them, but there they are in the office, right? That kind of thing. So what I'm saying to you this week is I want you to eat the way you would normally eat. If somebody brings donuts into the office and you would normally have donuts, I want you to eat them. You might even find, because of the exercises that we're giving you, that it makes you feel like crap. And you've always known that, but you weren't really paying attention to it. And now that you're paying attention to it, the next day the donuts might come in and you might be tempted to not eat them because you're going to eat them. You're going to do what you normally would have done. Your food angel and devil are going to be going, the devil's going to go, donuts! And the angel's going to go, no way, man. Yesterday we ate them and we feel like crap. Yeah, but it's donuts. Yeah, but our body. Yeah, but it's donuts. We're not doing it. Eric said so. The devil goes, got the Eric card. Eric said to do it. And the angel goes, oh, crap. But secretly, the angel might be happy about that a little. And what we're going to slowly start to do is move to the point where the angel absolutely knows what the angel wants. And that the devil and the angel want the same thing. That's where we're moving. But the only way we're going to get there is to do the exercise properly. So you're not going to remove anything else. What you are going to do is you're going to add water. Now, many of you may be drinking water already. Great. I'm going to ask you to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water. Now, at this point, some of you are going to be asking me, how big the glasses should be. Well, if you're a bigger person, they should be bigger glasses. And if you're a little person, they should be littler glasses. That's the answer I've got for you. I'm asking you to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. Good sized glasses for you. This should be slightly more water than is easy for you to drink. Most of you are somewhat dehydrated, just in your normal day-to-day life. I'm not saying this because of anything I can see on the camera. I'm just saying statistically, like the population of the Western world is mostly dehydrated. There's many reasons for this. If you've done the master class where you learned about the 6 hungers, you'll understand that we used to get a lot of our water from the food we ate and now we don't. And so we need to supplement. We need to bring in lots of water. So 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. It's ideal if you drink those glasses of water before you eat and not after. I'm not a big fan of drinking water after you because then you dilute all your digestive fluids and slow down the digestive process. If you need to sip a little water while you're eating, it is what it is. But my feeling is drink the water. Like if you're in a restaurant, for example, drink the water, then order the food. Or order the food, drink the water, but don't drink the water while you're eating or after. Also, if you might want to avoid drinking the last glass of water in the last hour before you go to bed because that can be somewhat disruptive to sleep patterns. 6 to 8 glasses of water. You're also going to start doing some really powerful breathing exercises. Now, does anybody here actually know where the fat goes when you release it? For those of you here to release weight, does anybody know where the fat goes when you release it? Give it to me in the comments if you know where the fat goes. Where does the fat go? Toilet's a good guess. I suspect some of it does go there. Interesting. Mostly you breathe it out. You also urinate some of it out because when you burn fat, you release water internally, right? But mostly you breathe it out. And so what we want to do is do some really powerful breathing exercises that's going to help us move our breath. The other thing is this. Most of us spend too much time breathing shallowly in the tops of our chests. Now, I want you to think about something. If you and I were walking along in the African bush and we walked around a tree, and we saw a lion sleeping just over there, how would we breathe? How would we breathe? We would breathe gently and quietly in the top of our breath so that nobody could hear us. It's the way prey breathes, because in that moment we'd be prey and we'd breathe really shallowly. And then our body would know from the way we were breathing that we were in danger. And so our body would start producing cortisol and adrenaline. I want you to think about this because many of you, I can see you right now, are sitting down, which means that your body is bent, right? Which means that your diaphragm is constricted, which means that your lungs are crunched, which means that mostly you're breathing in the top of your chest, which means that your body thinks there's a lion around the corner, which means you're producing a little cortisol and a little adrenaline just in case there's a problem. So the way you deal with that is by making sure that a few times a day you stand up and breathe deeply. You see, in nature, the only time you would never, and by the way, when I use this lion example, you should know something about me. I've had that happen. I've had it happen to me 3 or 4 times where I've walked around a corner, I've walked down into a river gully, and there's lions there. And let me tell you something, this is not what you do. You don't, you look down, you go, there's lions, and you don't go like this. That's not how you breathe when you see the lions, right? But that is how you breathe when you know there are no lions around. So you're going to do deep breathing exercises to communicate to your DNA that you're safe. The safer you are, the less your body is concerned about releasing the fat. The less your body is concerned about doing everything else that it needs to do. So you're going to do the 5-5 breathing exercises as discussed in the videos. Briefly, it means breathe in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5, breathe in for 5. I know some of you wrote in the comments, or somebody wrote, why don't we hold for 5 at the bottom as well? If you want to do that, you can. For many people, that's quite challenging to hold for 5 when they've emptied their lungs. Minimum is breathe in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5, and do that 5 times, and then do that 5 times a day-ish, or at least 3. All right, with food, you're not going to take anything away, but what you are going to do is slow down and pay attention. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Pay attention to the dialogue. Pay attention to how you convince yourself to eat it. Pay attention to the size you order or you create for yourself. Pay attention to how you feel when you know that feeling of fullness comes in, but you want to keep going. And by the way, this week you're supposed to keep going, even though I've just said that. Here's what's going to happen for some of you. I'm at that point Eric talked about where I know that I'm full and I want to keep going. I'm going to stop. No, you're not. You're going to keep going. As we increase your consciousness, you're going to be tempted to eat less. You're going to be tempted to not eat things. Don't give in to that temptation. Trust the guide and walk away from the mountain. All right. You're also going to pay attention to associations you have. Pay attention like why certain foods are linked up. Like some of you have an association that free food has to be eaten. Some of you have an association that you've got to clean your plate. I want you to notice these things. Don't change them, but notice them this week. You're going to really pay attention to the food timeline. Like, how do you feel before you ate, while you're eating, 30 minutes later? All this stuff is discussed in detail in the daily videos. You're going to pay attention to your food dialogue, how you're paying attention, how you're talking to yourself, how you're selling yourself, how you're trying to unsell yourself, and so on. And then you're going to also pay attention to the manipulative practices of the food industry. I want you to really start paying attention to that. I want you to notice the commercials and notice how they are trying to make you feel good while you see their logo, feel good while you see their food. I want you to notice, particularly mothers, I want you to notice how they link up. Watch this, by the way. They don't sell food to men the same way. They sell food to men with other things. But with women, one of the ways they sell food to you is it's going to be quick and easy. Why? Because mothers are generally, I'm sorry, I don't mean that it should be this way. It's just practically speaking, it currently still is this way. Women are generally primarily responsible for making sure their children don't starve to death. And so there's a lot of work involved in that, shopping and cooking and preparing and shopping. And so the food industry goes right to you and goes, you know what? We have a way where you can just take it easy. You don't have to do any dishes. It's super cheap and it's called McDonald's or whatever. Pay attention to how they try to manipulate you to eat non-foods. And lastly, really, truly pay attention to progress. Even this week, you're going, I'm not going to make any progress this week if I'm eating the way I was eating before. How am I going to make any progress? You're going to make progress by noticing all the stuff we just talked about. One of the ways you're going to make progress is you're going to go, I'm not sure that I really enjoy this as much as I thought I did. Would that be progress? Yeah, I think so. Now, my team, if there's anything else you need me to mention, let me know. I'm just going to do one other thing here. You have a really, really great support team with you. You have a really, really great support team on this journey with you. It's Really important that you take advantage of that when you go in. If you're having challenges or questions, go ahead into the Facebook group. Here's the kind of support you have. You have technical support, and that's from Mindvalley. If there's ever a challenge with getting into the Quest app or what have you, then you contact Mindvalley and they can sort that stuff out for you. If you have program related issues like food and challenges that you're going through, you have another couple of layers of support. You have peer support. That is, you're going to write in the Facebook group and your peers are going to jump in and they're going to support you and help you. They're going to remember the stuff that was in the video that maybe you forgot. And so you've got the peer support. That's one of the reasons this is going to work so well for you. You also have, there are some people in the program that have done the program before. And so you've got kind of another level of peer support. People have been through the program before. Now, one thing, for those who've done the program before, and I think you already know this, it's really important for you to remember the context of the week that you're in. Don't coach them for next week. Help them with, and don't coach them at all, but help them relative to the week they're in. And then the next level of support you have is me and my team, who will be in there in the Facebook group. And I'm gonna, I don't think you guys can unmute yourselves, and there's too many of you for me. Actually, Angela, if you could do it, could you please unmute, whichever of the coaches are live with us right now, could you unmute Ariel, Amanda, Petra, Jorgen, Leafy, Melanie, and Catherine? Can you unmute them? I've unmuted, oh no, it didn't work. Muted. All right, guys, I've just unmuted all of you, just in order. I don't even know which ones of you are live. Ariel, I think I saw you. Say hello.
Hello.
Leafy and Melanie are unmuted.
Well, okay, Ariel, say a little more than hello.
Hi, everybody. I am so happy to be here live on the call. I'm going to be in the Facebook group with you as well. If you haven't already seen my hello and welcome video. And this is such a transformational journey. I know that I see some familiar faces, and some of you I will be getting to know over our next 13 weeks. So always just follow your guide and listen to us as we lead you along. And most importantly, believe in your own intuition and yourself. You made the commitment to be here, so play full out and you will get all of the results that you're looking for.
Good deal. Thanks, Ariel. Pamela, can you just say a quick word? It's a quick word of hello as well.
Hello from Anchorage, Alaska. I'm so excited for you guys. This is an incredible journey, and I'm excited to be in the group and to support you. And remember that you can contact us under that one post in Mindvalley that says, ask your coaches. Okay, I'll be there supporting you. Let's go.
Awesome. Leafy and Melanie, I see you're on one camera together. Jump in and say hello.
Actually,
hi, everybody.
Oh, you're not. Okay, say hello. Say hello individually.
Go ahead, Leafy.
Okay, I will. Hi, everyone. It's me, Leafy, and I started the journey over 3 years ago. I'm really honored to be here and be of support and guidance. I ended up starting this journey as a personal health quest for myself, my daughter, and my family. Little did I know I'd have so many of my personal friends. There's over 20 here in the Thunder Bay area that have gone through the challenge, so I've got a really great network of support and community. But what has really expanded my heart over the years is the extended family and support that I have with WildFit. My biggest win and success for myself and for you guys is that trust the process, play all in, and just get involved in the community aspect of this. And you've got this. You're here because your heart guided you. You know it's the next step in the evolution of who you are about to become. Many blessings. See you in the Coach's Corner.
Hey, okay, Melanie, you're up.
Hi there, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here as well. I started my WildFit journey because of Leafy, and it has been an incredible journey. You are in for a treat. All I can say is pretty much what Leafy said, trust the process. And even if it sounds like a little bit weird sometimes, you know, what the enhancements might or might not be during the time, just go ahead. You have a really good support group here, and yeah, I know you will succeed and enjoy it. It's a really wonderful ride.
Good deal. And do we have any others, Angela? I don't know if others are live.
I don't see any more that are live.
Don't worry about it. They'll be in the Facebook group. But that last one was Melanie and Leafy was a really good one for me to segue into the ending here. And that is that Melanie is what we would call, in a sense, a second generation client. What I mean by that is that Leafy did the program and was so inspired by what happened in her life that she then encouraged Melanie to do it. And then both of them ended up coming on and becoming certified WildFit coaches. So I want to address what that raises. How many of you know, matter of fact, I saw one of you wrote that your reason for being here was your husband's weight, right? So how many of you have people around you, children, spouses? Why do we call them spouses? Like spouse, mouse and mice. I think spouses should be spice, don't you? Anyway, children, husbands, wives, employees, friends. How many of you have people around you that you would really love, that you're worried about, and you'd really love to help them turn their health around as well? How many of you feel that way? Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to do that. And in order to teach you how to do that, I'm going to teach you how not to do it. The way not to do it is to be preachy or pushy or arrogant or lectury or on a high horse in any way at all. When you, over the course of this challenge, you're going to learn some things about the food industry and about food that are going to blow you away. In fact, one of your coaches, Amanda, if I remember the story correctly, Amanda, please correct me if I don't get this right, but Amanda was, I think, 3.5 years into a nutrition degree when she did this program as a client. And then she wrote to us and goes, I'm dropping out of this degree. I've learned more in the last 3 months than more useful and solid, like usable knowledge about nutrition and food psychology than I've learned in 3.5 years. And I wrote back and said, don't drop out of the degree. Because in our world, those pieces of paper have value, even if the knowledge doesn't. Isn't it true? It's just the way it is. I said, you gotta finish the degree, and then you can take your actual knowledge and use the piece of paper to get somewhere. And so why I'm saying this to you is you're going to learn some fascinating things, and you're going to be kind of tempted to like preach about it, or you know, kind of like become a food critic in a sense. Like people will start to, you might be tempted to point out that somebody's got something on their plate that you know why they shouldn't have it there. And I'm going to ask you to absolutely refrain from being that person. The person I want you to be is the person who stands up for their own rights one day when you're ready, when we get to that stage of program, and you're the person who's willing to walk into a restaurant and tell them how you want the food. I'm up for that. I'm up for you saying, I want this without that, with this, I want it my way. I want you to have the self-respect to be able to order the food the way you want it. I want you to have the self-respect to go to your friend's house, and when they serve something that's outside of your rules, that you don't feel pressured to eat it. I want you to have that. I don't want you, on the other hand, to become a preachy, objectionable, obnoxious, food fascist. And so I will tell you that the very best way to deal with changing the people around you is to be the change you want to see in them. And you will be blown away about what an incredible, by the way, I'll prove it to you. I launched this company as a hobby almost 6 years ago. Literally as a hobby, just because I was good at it. That's it. I was teaching business. I was touring the world with Tony Robbins, teaching business at his seminars and doing my thing. But then some of my clients were asking me about this stuff. And so I started it as a hobby. I didn't put up a website. I didn't do any marketing. I did nothing. I just coached 8 people. And then I talked about it occasionally at my business seminars. And then the word started spreading. And then one day, a friend of mine did the program, and he and his wife got such incredible results that he then told his network about the results. Now, up to that point, maybe 150 people had done WildFit. Bear in mind, there's over 1,000 people, I think, in this class alone. But back then, like maybe at that point, maybe 300 people had done it, 150 people a year for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, he told his network about it, and 200 people signed up in a day. He called me and he goes, Eric, I don't think you have a website. I go, no, I don't. He goes, I'm about to tell my network about it. You better put up a website. I'm telling you this because this business has grown like this entirely based on results. In fact, the reason you're here now is that Vishen came to our Transformational Leadership Council meetings, and he heard everybody talking about WildFit all over the place because so many of my friends in the TLC had done the program. And then they gave me an award, and he's like, what the hell's going on here? So he decided to do the program based on results. Then he got results. And then he started telling Mindvalley about the results. And now thousands of people in over 20 countries around the world have done the program. So the best way that you can change the people around you is by getting results. Not by preaching to them, not by announcing that this time is going to be different. If you have any friends that come up and go, oh, you're on another diet, then you go, no, I'm just working on my food relationships. That's all. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to lecture. I'm just here to have my experience. I'm also not here to be judged. Does that sound good? All right. And with that, I will congratulate you for being here. I really want you to understand that I know that it took a lot of trust and faith for you to do this. You know, trust and faith in Vision, in Mindvalley, in me, in WildFit. And I really take that seriously, that you put your trust and faith in us. And we're going to do everything we can to guide you through this process. It absolutely does work. It works best when you work it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress that you guys make. I'm super excited to have you here. Remember to go get your measurements done, get your pictures done, go into the Facebook group, introduce yourself, say hi to everybody, connect, make sure that you use the community to your highest advantage. And welcome to the WildFit Quest. I'm super, super excited for each and every one of you.
Assalamualaikum.